Australia is outstripping us on the economic comeback from COVID-19, and we need to assemble an A-team for the economy if we don't want to get left further behind. That, according to the head of the Prime Minister's Business Advisory Council. Fraser Whineray says while we are tracking well on medical matters, when it comes to the Wellbeing Bledisloe, Australia is doing better managing both the health and economic fallout from the pandemic. He's written to Jacinda Ardern asking her to fire up a recovery taskforce and reform commission, like the one Australia's set up, headed by a business leader with the same influence and access to the Prime Minister as the Director General of Health. And he says the time to do it is now.
Normally in any incident management in a company, for example, you'll have people focused on the triage of the event, of stabilising it, then the recovery, and then if it's a really significant shift, which this one is for the globe, then it's the longer term things. And that's why the Business Advisory Council is promoting the Recovery Taskforce and a Reform Commission, each chaired by business people, kind of in a similar manner to what the Australian COVID Commission is, and they're looking very strong on their recovery looking forward. Now, the Australians are a wonderfully confident bunch, and it's part of their culture, and so when they see the likes of who's in the COVID Commission working almost very closely and alongside the Prime Minister's group there, that enthuses their confidence even further to make decisions, of investment or hiring or not doing the opposite of those stronger. So Australians have been known to plough their way through the recession simply because they're so confident. And I want to make sure that our economic activity, the $100 billion that's about to be spent, if that goes into some really good things because we have a strong recovery task force and reform commission.
So do you think that a commission like that should have equal access and sway with the Prime Minister as the health side of things?
That's how the Australian one has been set up, yes. So it needs to be coordinated in some ways with the health aspects, but it's not. It is very much along the lines of strong and equal access, because as we made the point on 7 April and also on the letter, the well-being is underpinned by the economy, and so it's really important that the two go hand in hand. Nailing COVID's one thing, but now it's about looking forward. What's the best team we can marshal for the recovery with the best influence on huge amount of expenditure and debt we're going to be bringing on as a country, so we don't slip behind. And if I look across the ditch at the way they've structured and assembled themselves, I'd be concerned if we don't have a really strong recovery task force bringing business and economic activity along with it, because they'll just move ahead and people will vote with their feet in the end in the long term.
So blank slate here. If you could choose, who would be on this commission?
I haven't. I'm just looking at that now, but I've got some names in mind, but I'd prefer not to share those at this point.
Come on. Would you want to be on it?
I'd like the members of the Business Advisory Council would very much like to strongly support it. Being on the commission, though, just to be clear, that's almost full time. That's what it would involve. And
so is that a no? You wouldn't want to be on it?
Well, I'd want to make sure that we're supporting those that are on it. It's a smaller group of about 6, but right now I've got a fairly challenging day job, which is pretty important for the national income as well. So I'd be on that, but I would be in there supporting them to do it. But if you really want to make this recovery task force work, you pretty much have to go in boots and all for a period.
Okay, so do we have the talent? When you say you're looking for about 6 people, have you got a long list, or is it a struggle to make up the 6 that you'd need?
Oh no, we've absolutely got the talent in New Zealand. There's no doubt about that. We're flush with talent. It's not actually so much about that. It's about having a very significant mandate and presence to help influence decisions, as opposed to simply providing advice. But they have to be, very passionate New Zealanders who are apolitical and have great ability to bring others with them and pull them in. And that's what, looking at the likes of the Australian set, they are the very prominent business people who have huge experience that can bring a lot of the economy along.
Fraser, there'll be some people out there listening and going, business, pushing their way to the front of the queue, putting money and business ahead of health. What would you say to them?
The core thing is I think well-being is more than a COVID statistic, and the economy isn't just a thing that the Reserve Bank Governor talks about. Economies are jobs, it's providing for family, it's having comfortable retirements, and it's paying for new cancer drugs. And the bottom line is if the income for a government is provided by taxes on the economy, and if the economy isn't strong, then the government taxes go down, and at some point you can't keep borrowing from the bank. So that is actually how the money goes round. And so we do actually need good economic activity, good long-term investments that suit where we want to take New Zealand, and by doing so, ensure that we have plenty of tax revenue to provide the wonderful goods and services that public services that we need. So it's not actually about health versus economy. That we can go to another 160 countries around the world which are poorer than New Zealand, and we can see what weaker economies do for people's well-being.
How quickly do we need this?
I think we want to get underway extremely quickly, because Australians stood these up in late March, and we don't want to give them too much of a head start.
So you're talking days or weeks rather than months?
I think we need to be into it in a matter of weeks if we're going to do this, yeah.
And that's the chair of the Prime Minister's Business Advisory Council, Fraser Whineray.